My name is Evans Mbugwa and I'm a visual artist based in Paris. The piece that's showing is called Cosmic Future, which is part of a bigger series called Back to the Future. I grew up in Nairobi and moved to France for my studies when I was 19. And I have a brother and a sister, and they both have children. And there's always this kind of excitement that I get and which they get whenever we're going to meet. And so we'll spend, hours observing each other, touching, playing, talking. And this kind of reminds me every time I see them of my own childhood, which also pushes me to think about their own future and wondering how is it going to be. There's this back and forth where we're warmly thinking about something. But then there are deeper issues that come with those thoughts about, are they going to find happiness? Are they going to find an environment which allows them to flourish? This brings us to real issues such as climate change. How is it going to be for them and their children, if they ever have? And what's the future? What kind of future are we building right now? So Cosmic Future was a piece of one of the exciting moments when I just landed in Nairobi. And my niece was, she was being an acrobat and jumping and dancing. And I took a photo of her with my phone. And when I got back to my studio, as for all the pieces that I create, I tried to capture this moment, this energy, this excitement. We can see the vibrancy in her arms stretched out, her hair is flying over, she's midair, she's super excited. And then this kind of gives me hope for her and also questions, how am I preserving the environment now so that her future can be as vibrant? When I started out working, I was actually interested in stained glass and how stained glass actually creates some kind of emotion in a space. And this also depends with the lighting that's on the outside. But technically, I couldn't work with stained glass in my small studio in Paris. So I actually went back to studying where the technique was invented. So that's purely a European invention. And then as the technique traveled around the world, in Africa, West Africa mainly today, in Asia, so people literally started painting directly on glass. So in West Africa, you have the sous vert technique, which is painting on glass. And so I chose to use Perspex for two reasons. One of the reasons was because it was less fragile than glass. And second was because I could still have the elements that I wanted of transparency. So once I've painted the portrait on the Perspex, then the technique that I used to use before was I would layer this on printed original prints which I used to print on paper, using different pictograms that I collect. So pictograms, you have them everywhere. You have them on your clothes, you have them on your package, you have them on the street. When you're about to cross the road, there's a green man. So I pick that, I take a photo, and on my computer, I will digitally work on that to create a new print. And more recently, I started then integrating the prints onto the Perspex. So now I'm literally painting everything on the Perspex. I work using dots. I've always thought that my work starts with one dot, one dot of oil paint. And this one dot has to live with the other dots around them for the image to be visible. So this one dot represents an individual, and this one person has to vibrate, has to live with the other dots that are around him or her. This also reminds me of the stars when you're outside and you're looking at the sky, a clear sky. There's one star that you can probably see, and there are all these other stars that are vibrating around, and it creates a whole universe. I start the process by taking a photo of someone who I cherish, someone who I want to introduce into my archive of stars that I create. The reason why I wanted to create this archive was because, you walk into a museum, say for example, you walk to the Louvre Museum in Paris, and you're going to look at all this, the royal families and stuff like that. I thought that I would recreate my own museum with my everyday heroes, not only my family members or my friends, but at times it's just a quick exchange relationship that I could have had with someone, which then leaves me with a smile on my face or just a memory of a place where I went to, and I literally want to create and to focus on all these important, simple, happy, everyday moments. The reason why in all my artworks you never see the eyes, because it's an invitation to look differently, to change the way we see things, to change the way we are looking at our environment. That's why I use pictograms. They are everyday things that are around us, which might seem insignificant, but they're actually very important. And that's what I'm actually talking about. How curious are we about our environment? And how are we, being conscious of what's going on around us? I think the core issue with Back to the Future series for me is that we say that to know where you're going, you have to know where you come from. For me, I think I could almost add that to know where you're going, you also have to understand where you are. History is very important, of course, but I think the present, understanding the present, where we are, is also as important for the future.